Okay guys, I know some of you are already wanting to start on the homework, so I'm going to give you some video explanations on the first couple pages to help you. It's going to be important that you finish the notes and you've at least watched the video explanation, the little animation explaining each postulate to help you do this. Alright, so part of this toolbox is to help you find the patterns and determine if the triangles are congruent. There's some things that are going to happen very often that are common. You're going to use prior knowledge with parallel lines to help you do some of your problem solvings, and also with our properties that we did in the first 6 weeks. So they made the following conclusion. Like the first one they wrote here is the angle NCA is congruent to angle BCA. We're going to mark that and we're going to explain why they made that conclusion. So NCA, and put an arc right there for that angle, and BAC. And the reason they were able to do this or make this conclusion is because we have a set of parallel lines right here, and what we have are alternate interior angles. Now, when we're starting to prove, we're going to always ask you to make markings on known facts and using your prior knowledge and previous theorems to mark. So alternate interior angles will be your responsibility to mark. They will not be marked for you, nor would the conclusion statement be given for you as well. So the other set, we have another set of parallel lines here with just the one arrow here, and it has a transversal CA as well. And so I have another set of alternate interior angles, which are NAC, and I'm going to put two arcs there, and angle BCA, and two arcs here. And then one of the known facts, or the things that you will have to mark on your own over and over again, are common sides or shared sides. Right here, I have two triangles when the transversal cuts through the parallel lines, and I have a common side between them, a shared side. So you will always mark that, and then we start labeling the parts that we have to see if we have a pattern. So I notice I have an angle, a side, an angle, a side, an angle, and now I can see this angle, side, angle. And this is one of our postulates, so yes, it's congruent. So what I'm asking you to do here, and we're going to check over this and make sure you have an understanding of it in class, but for those of you who want to get ahead, is to take your conclusions, mark them, and also mark known facts. Known facts are commonly vertical angles, common sides or shared sides, and alternate interior angles. So if you notice, they've already marked that SV is congruent to VT. They're telling you that RV is congruent to RV. That is a common side. I put two tick marks now because I already had used the one. And the reason why they marked that was the common side. And whenever I see a common side in a figure, this is the same as the reflexive property. Reflexive property when we're proving. So we also have a right angle, this box, so I know it's 90, or I can put the box on the other side. And I'm hoping now you can see a pattern. Tick marks are sides, so that's the side S, angle, and then another side. And that same pattern exists in the adjacent triangle. So this would be side, angle, side. And this is, yes, it's congruent. Now in your notes, we have what we call false statements or false shortcuts. And a false shortcut includes when it does not follow the previous theorems or postulates. So if I look here, the only thing I can mark is AS is congruent, to AS. Because what you have here is a common side or a shared side, and that is when we use the reflexive property. And I'm just going to abbreviate that. So if I look at my pattern, depending on what order I go, we can go side, side, angle, or I'm hoping you're starting to see why we have no donkey theorems. Okay, because if you reverse that, that is a donkey. And you cannot use a donkey to prove congruency. So I think some of you got the joke. I hope so. Now, this last one, they have our sides already marked for us. Alright, so AY is congruent to AM, YS is congruent to MS. The last thing you have to mark, and we've already used 1 and 2 tick marks, that's 3. That is the common side. So this was the common side. You do not have to write out common side. I'm just showing it or writing it so you understand why I did it. And now I see that this is by side, side, side. So this is yes. And then the last one, there's 2 ways. If I look, I have parallel lines and I have a transversal with AD. So I have alternate interior and I have alternate transversal with that one I use the transversal EC. I have a transversal AD, so this would be alternate interior here. And I also have vertical angles. So the way they marked it is they showed AB is congruent to DBC. This was an alternate interior. We had another alternate interior. And right here was our vertical. And this was given. So if I look for my pattern, I can say an angle, a side, an angle. Find that same marking, one arc, there's an angle, a side, and an angle. So I could say angle, side, angle. Or I could start at the other angle here. Here's an angle, and then that side. And that same pattern exists in the other triangle. So this was yes. Alright, so we're going to practice marking the angles and the parts of the triangle. And so it's going to be given to you. It's either going to be marked for you already, or you're going to see the relationship and you can put the marking on it, the known facts. So on the next page, page 2, because I'm going to get up to at least page 3. The first one we have here, it's already marked for us. So they want us just to complete the congruency statement. But I just got to check the markings. If I look here, I have a side, I have an angle, I have a side. And then I look, 2 tick marks, angle, 1 tick mark. I see that the pattern exists in both triangles. So now I can say keeping the congruent statement. And it's important that the letters here are written correctly, because I'm starting with A, going to 2 tick marks B, then C. So that would mean I would have to start with F, go to 2 tick marks, which would be E, and then D. And this would be by side, angle, side. So now that I know that the triangles are congruent, I know corresponding parts, corresponding sides, or angles are going to be congruent. So if I look here, AC, AC is going to be congruent, that 2 tick marks, to FE, or EF. And also, I have AB is congruent, would be congruent, because the third side is going to also be congruent to, did I write that wrong? Sorry, I wrote that wrong. AC is congruent, that's not the 2 tick marks. AC is 1 tick mark, is congruent to DF. AB is the 2 tick marks, and it's congruent to FE. Sorry about that. Alright, so now we know which parts go together. So AC, we know already it's 3x. DF is x plus 6. And we know that AB, which is a negative y plus 5, is going to be equal to FE, which is 2y minus 10. And now we have our equation and we can just solve for x. So I'll give you a moment to do that. You can pause the video and then check your answer. Should have got 3 and 5. Hopefully 3 and 5. Alright, so here's one where you have to mark the common side, because we already have 2 sides marked and NP is shared in both of them. So I'm going to put 3 tick marks. And now I'm just going to follow the markings to make sure I write the congruent statement correct. So I go MNP, which means 1 tick mark, 3, 2. So that means that I would have to do the same thing. So 1 tick mark would be to O, to 3 would be P, and then N. And this would be side, 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 because I have 3 sides that are congruent. And I think you can see that. So I'm hoping you see that MN is equal to OP, and MP is equal to NO. This is very similar to the first one, so I'm going to let you work that one out, and I'm going to talk about number 3. Because number 3, we're going to do the same complete the congruency statement, but we're going to have a system on number 3. I'm going to use the setup for number 3 to help you with number 4. So on number 3, we have an angle marked. K is congruent to M, and then the tick mark, that's the side, and then another angle, D and P. And so now I can complete my congruency statement. KDR is going to be congruent to MPO, and I'm hoping you see that was by angle side angle. So now I can see that which parts are going to be congruent to. KD, what they have here, is equal to MP. So I know that KD is equal to MP. So I have basically 2x plus 3y is equal to 11. And I also have KR. KR is going to be congruent to MO. So KR is the negative 2x plus 5y is equal to 13. All right, so I have a system here because we have 2 variables. And I'm just going to come down here to the bottom to set up the system. So basically we have 2x plus 3y equals 11. And we have a negative 2x plus 5y equals 13. This one comes out real nice and neat because you should see that the x's can be eliminated by adding. And you can solve for x and y. So I think you can do that one from this point on. Let's talk about number 4. Again, you're going to have to mark the share side. And now I can see I have an angle, and then a side. Now, some students struggle with this spatial understanding. I have to do consecutive parts. So understand that this angle goes through this included side here. So this angle goes from R to B. The next consecutive part would be going down an angle again. So even though RB is not marked, we're going from an angle to a side. If I go the other direction, if I go here, angle to an angle, I would have to go through something over here before I would get to that side. And I would have to have that marked. So just takes practice, and you're going to do that on page 3. So we have angle, and we have the share side, and angle, side. So we know RBM, triangle RBM is congruent to triangle WBM, and by angle, side. And now, we got to set up our system, because we have a system on this one. RB is going to be congruent, RB is the side with the angle, it's going to be congruent to BW. So Y, which is RB, is equal to the 3x plus 2. And if I look at RM is going to be congruent to MW, because we know the triangles are congruent, so corresponding parts are going to be congruent. So then I have x plus 2y is equal to 11. Alright, so to me the easiest way to solve a system is to have it in standard form, or have the x and the y lined up together. If we look, this one is not in standard form. We have the y only on the left side. So we're going to move the x over and rewrite the system so we can see we can eliminate. So when I rewrite this, this is a negative 3x plus y equals 2. And then right now I still see that I can't eliminate anything because we don't have opposite terms. But you could multiply. You decide which one you want to do to multiply, and I'm going to let you finish that one. I'm going to go on to page 3 because we're going to get you started on page 3. Page 3 is just asking you to give the reason, whether it's side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side, that shows the triangles congruent. So if none works, then we're going to say not congruent or none. So on here, the markings are pretty much marked for you except for known facts, and we're going to review that again. So here, if you look, I have a side. I use S for side because it's tick marks, an angle, and a side. If I look here, I had a side, an angle, a side. We see the pattern. This would be side, angle, side. Try the next one. I'll pause Or you could pause, see if you can come up with the postulate or the pattern. Hopefully you saw angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. This one was angle, side, angle. Now, number 3 has 2 solutions, actually. If you look, I have a tick mark that represents a side, then an angle, and then a tick mark. I have that same 2 tick mark representing a side, an angle, and a tick mark. So I could say side, angle, side, or we have this angle over here that I can mark. And if I go angle to an angle, or angle to the side, excuse me, I would have angle, side, angle. And it's possible, I just not saw it, if I don't use the tick mark that I'm going through, I could say angle, angle, side. Alright, so number 4 is an example of when you have to mark known facts. So on number 4, they have a shared side, so you mark that, tick mark, and I'm hoping you now see A and then an S and an A, because that's angle. And then in the same thing, so S and A, so angle, side, angle. 5 should be, you don't even have to mark anything else, everything is done for you. Say nothing but tick mark, so that's side, so side, side, side. 6 is not congruent, or none, because this is one of the false shortcuts. You cannot prove with angle, angle, angle. That's wrong, okay? Alright, so the last one I'm going to do with you is with the right triangle we have here. What do you think you can mark? I'm hoping you see the known shared side. So that would be 2 tick marks, and then we should have an S, an A, and an S. So, because it's in the same pattern, sorry, side, angle, side. Alright, so try your best to use your little photo ball to help you with the marking. It is possible that you're going to have some that are none. And on the back, you're going to have to mark the parts that are given for you. So on the front, you're marking the known facts, and they have the other parts already marked for you. But on the back here, it says DE is equal or congruent, to EC. So then you have to put the tick mark DE, and it's congruent to EC, tick mark. Then it says BE is congruent to AE, 2 tick marks, 2 tick marks. Then the known fact, vertical, angles, and now you can come up with your congruency statement. You can complete that. So if it's given to you, you have to mark what you know based on the given information. So like on 17, this is a midpoint, so you should be able to mark KE is congruent to EW. And then it tells us that KEG is congruent to WEH, so we mark the arcs there, and K is congruent to W, so you mark the arcs there, and then you should be able to come up with your congruency statement. So on the back you have to mark it. Front, it's already marked for you except for known facts. Back you mark. So keep on trucking. Come to class with questions. We're going to do a couple of these in class, and move on and get ready for our semester exam. Have a good weekend.